UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. Folks, I've been banging this drum for about 30 years. Most of the time, it's fallen on deaf ears. However, with our government, Congress, whistleblowers coming on the record and telling us that the phenomenon is real, what are we to make of it? Yet the church dithers, for the most part, is asleep. We have 10 films on this. We've done everything we know how to do to get the word out. And I'm here every single day reporting either on UFOs, on prophecy, on cattle mutilations, whatever. Anyway, we'll get into this. I think you'll find it interesting. First, a word from our very trusted sponsor. A bombshell study just revealed that GLP-1 drugs don't actually work the same for everyone. Your genes determine whether the injections work at all and whether you'll suffer the side effects. At nearly $1,000 a month, that's a brutal gamble millions of Americans are unknowingly taking. This is why I love GLP-1 Elevate. Instead of a pharmaceutical gamble, it uses clinically studied plant-based ingredients like metabolate to help my body naturally boost its own GLP-1 signals, the ones controlling hunger and fullness. No prescription, no needle, no genetic lottery. I get fewer cravings. I feel fuller faster and actually keep my results without the metabolic crash. Folks, I got to tell you, I've been on it now for a couple of months and I have noticed a difference. But you got to, you got to do it every day. To eat one in the morning, one in the afternoon before my evening meal, and I've noticed a difference. Folks, get 51% off at www.trimwithla.com. Every order includes a free VIP coaching for life, a 60-day money-back guarantee, and free express shipping with subscriptions. Head to www.trimwithla.com. I've noticed a difference, and Peggy's going to try it soon. Want to thank our social media director, Rachel Towson. If you want to get a hold of me, the best place is, shoot me an email, la@lamarzulli.net, or get a hold of Rachel. She does these shorts, which are incredible. She'll send me some topics, and then I'll send her a minute clip, and she edits them, and they're just fantastic. She does a great job. So bully for you, Rachel. Here's today's short. So what happens if you have 6 fingers? Are you a Nephilim? This video is for entertainment purposes only. Polydactylism, the idea of a 6-digit, it's a genetic trait. And what you have to remember, Nephilim are the progeny of fallen angels and human women. So you're going to get some of the genetics from human women mixed up in the equation. So we know that the giants had 6 fingers and 6 toes, double rows of teeth, and red hair. Those are genetic attributes, in my opinion, from the human side of the equation. So if you were born with 6 fingers, it's a very common trait. It's called polydactylism. You are not a Nephilim. Nothing to worry about here. Nephilim are soulless. They are in a fixed state. They're walking amongst us. Read Dr. David Jacobs' book, Walking Amongst Us. It'll blow your mind. I am L.A. Marzulli. Consider becoming a member. Lots of perks. I'm actually doing a 2-part on Fatima and showing the presentation I gave, I think, in 2017, 2018. And I think you'll find that interesting. So consider becoming a member. It helps keep the lights on here. It keeps me doing what we do basically every single day. Let's get into today's subject. I want to get into this. So let me back up. So for 30 years, I've been talking about this. When I wrote the Nephilim trilogy from basically 1997, it was published in 98, 99. And the last book in the trilogy, I think, was 2005. I was laughed at, scoffed at, jeered at. I remember sitting in at my publisher. I'm not going to mention any names here, but if you're diligent, you can figure out who published it originally. But I was at a dinner at the publisher, and all these other authors were there and stuff. And one of the head honchos realized he was sitting next to me, and he moved his seat. Gee, I wonder why. This was a taboo subject. My mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, wrote about it in a book which completely changed my life, The Omega Conspiracy, Satan's Last Assault on Planet Earth. That book changed my life. I used to meet with Dr. Thomas once a month at any rate, sometimes more frequently. He came when I was music director at the Vineyard and saw me conduct the He Is Risen oratorio, for lack of a better word, cantata. And he was like my father's age. He was the same age as my father. And that book changed my life. It set me on the course and the path that I have been on ever since. That goes back to 1998. But it would really be, 7 years, 8 years after that where the first book got published. And I thank Dr. Thomas for that, because that book, The Omega Conspiracy, was the nexus for my series on the Nephilim. And then, of course, On the Trail of the Nephilim, which is a book about, well, let me show you. Here we go. On the Trail of a Nephilim right there. What has it got? It's got over 350 color photos. I want to thank Mark Kahn for putting this one together. It's On the Trail of a Nephilim 1, 2, and then, of course, the DNA evidence. It's a lot of material. Someone recently wanted me to come on and debate Genesis 3:15, Genesis 6. And I got this from my friend Mando Gonzalez. Mando said that Dr. Mike Heiser, and Mike wrote hit pieces on me. We patched things up before he passed away as best as we could, but there was never any real love there towards me from him. But I digress. Some people will take umbrage at that. But why write hit pieces on my work? My work is available. There are 34 films, 11 films, 12 films with the Watcher series, 8 films on the Trail of the Nephilim, 10 films on the whole UFO phenomena, 2 films on Fatima. Finally, what was it called? The Wasserman Chronicles, very first film on UFOs that I did independently of Richard or anybody else. So there's 34 films, there's 15 books, there's a lot of information there. So why do I want to go and debate someone when I have a 9-foot skeleton from Catalina? Where did that come from? Why do I want to debate anybody about Genesis 3:15 or Genesis 6 when we've been all over the world showing that this is Nephilim architecture, that these ancient megalithic structures were not built by human beings? And there's a connectivity between some of these ancient sites like the Giza Plateau and the Italian scientists Malanga and Biondi. What are they showing? It all holds. So far, the science is holding. They need to go and dig up one of these pillars. Just find one, changes everything. Goodbye, Egyptology, because I do not believe that the Egyptians built the pyramids. There's this whole structure underneath this. People have written books about it. And what's interesting about this, I believe it was a power plant. I believe it was the Giza power plant. There was this, and Gary Stearman and I talked about this. We believe this is pre-flood. This is all pre-flood architecture. What was it? Robert Schoch discovered that the pyramid, there's water erosion around the pyramid. Great flood, anyone? Right? There's a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated for the peoples of the world. There's no doubt about that. So, getting back on track here before we even get to the UFO thing. So why would I want to debate someone when I've got a photograph that I discovered out on Catalina Island of a 9-footer, that I've been to places like Gilgal Raphaim, the tomb of the giants? What's that there for? Why is it there? And by the way, the actual tomb has never been excavated to the best of my knowledge. They've got inside, and it's exactly like what I saw at the island of Malta. What about the legends that we have, the oral tradition from the Paiutes, Sarawinamukka, the red-haired, 6-fingered cannibalistic giants? Chief Joseph tag teams on that. Chief J. Keaton says the same thing. They were here. The Nephilim tribes were on Turtle Island in the Americas. What about America Stonehenge? We have 2 films on that. So I'm talking about this. There's my work. 34 films, 15 books, all on this UFO, Nephilim stuff, and it's all connected, folks. It's absolutely all connected. And I guess I'm being a little long-winded. I don't mean to be defensive. I probably sound like I'm defensive a little bit. But what irks me is that there's a corpus of work and people just don't access it because they want everything for free. Well, everything isn't for free. It costs us money to make the 10 films. I'm working on the Luciferian Endgame, which will come out in the fall. I'm here every single day. I wake up at 5 a.m., I have my coffee, and I am working on the book by 6 in the morning. I don't get paid for this. There is no advance. I get royalties from when the books were sold. I'm just saying. I know LA are complaining a lot. You really need to just get on with the UFO update. Okay, I'll get there. There's a corpus of work. Do your homework, for crying out loud. Streaming.lamarzulli.net. You can watch any of the films for $5. Go to the website. We've got sales all the time on our books. There's one coming up on Friday. Anyway, okay, I'll shut up. LA, that was really an annoying intro. You have to stop crying the blues here. Well, it does get a little annoying. I've been banging the drum. Oh, you promised you would stop, and now you're starting again. I've been banging the drum for 30 years. It's here now, and yet the church doesn't get it. The church doesn't understand. They're asleep. When Trump made that announcement that they were going to release, May 8th, right? So that was on a Friday. They always release everything on a Friday. So Sunday, we had 3 people go to churches. One pastor mentioned it. That was Matt Freeman back in Oklahoma, but he's in our tribe. He gets it. The other 2 pastors were here in the Southland, near the Santa Monica Mountains. In fact, one of the churches meets in the Santa Monica Mountains. Not a peep from the pastor. Not a peep. Jesus only. Okay, so let's do Jesus only. And I've been harping on this for a while now. Think about it. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. The Spirit expressly states that in the latter days, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and the doctrines of demons. This is where we are. The other side of the aisle, they've got films on this stuff. We've got films too. We did our 10-speaker Deception 2026 conference. You need to access that for $20. You can watch 10 speakers. Where else are you going to get a deal like that? You've lowered the price. I mean, come on. Do your homework. Listen to Alan DeDio. Listen to Gary Stearman, Mondo Gonzalez, Derek Gilbert. Emil Jur was a abductee. Karen Wilkinson, abductee. Vicky Joy Emerson, fantastic book. They only come out at night. Larry Ragland. I mean, it's there. Deception2026.com. Go to my website, lamarzulli.com, and you can check it out for yourself. I can't do any more than this. I am frustrated. I guess what you're seeing is my frustration, because the other side of the aisle holds court, and they've got a lot of money, day of disclosure, big budget production, Spielberg's movie coming out, big budget production. And here we are, Gil Zimmerman and I, but we have 10 films on it. There's no other Christian ministry that has 10 films on this. Do your homework. I'll shut up now, I promise. So this is the newscast. Listen to what's going on here.
Seeing some rumors on social media over the weekend that President Trump may have a speech prepared that he is expected to deliver about extraterrestrial life. UAPs, this has been a huge topic lately. They just released some files a couple weeks ago. Congressman Tim Burchett had a funny post over the weekend about Trump with an alien. I have to know, even the president's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, said months ago that he had something prepared. Can we expect to see anything from the president anytime soon on UAPs?
I don't think there's anyone who hijacks and dominates the news cycle like President Trump. And nothing is going to do that like a UFO speech by Trump. And so we're already seeing sort of the precursors, right? The signature proteins of this speech are in the social media posts. And so if I would have no doubt that that's coming, and they're just holding it for when they see the opportunity to hijack the news cycle and dominate it.
Well, I certainly hope they roll out the aliens with that announcement. We have reaching UVM with us this.
So listen, watch what she does. Here she goes.
They roll out the aliens with that announcement. We have reaching UVM with us this morning.
Watch it.
We hope they roll out the aliens with that announcement. We have reaching UVM with us this morning.
Ha ha ha. And this is how they treat it. And they all do the same thing. All these news anchors, they're coached. Keep it light. Don't be serious about it. Just keep it lighthearted. Roll out the aliens. Folks, this is a game changer. This changes everything. If Trump stands up on a Friday night and says we are not alone, how does that affect your faith? Well, how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to go to your pastor and say, why didn't you warn us about this? Why didn't you say something about this? I'll say it again. 1 Timothy chapter 4. The Spirit especially states that in the latter days, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and the doctrine of demons. We are here. It is happening right now. I am not making this stuff up. It all hails back to Genesis 3:15. Thank you, Gary Stearman. Have the proper exegesis of Genesis 3:15. Understand that it's a seed war. So when you get to Genesis 6. It's not the Sethite theory. It's not. That was invented by Julius Africanus in the 4th century. That's a joke. Everybody knows in the time of Jesus when he says the days of Noah. Jesus warns us it'll be like the days of Noah. They all know what it is. Why? Because the 1st century historian Josephus tells us that the bones of the Nephilim were openly on display. They all knew what he's talking about. They were giants. Goliath was a giant. It's a seed war. Who are the Nephilim that are there in the promised land? The Nephilim, the Zanzum, the Emims, the Anakim. They're all there. The Horites, the Rephites, they're all there in the promised land, mixing of the seed. They're fighting each other. The seed of the dragon is there and the seed of the woman, because Abraham's sons are there. Their seed are there. 3 million people, 400 years later. Think about it. It's in some ways, the culmination of the seed war, at least to that point in history. And they go in. And by the way, Joshua and Caleb conquered all the lands, all the tribes, except they never went into Gaza. Let that sink in. Just ruminate on that just for a little bit. So my computer's doing something really weird here. Are they taking photographs of me? Are they filming this? It goes like this. It's like slides. I don't know what that is, but I've seen it. It's happening more frequently, but I digress. So what we are looking at, Jesus warns us, men will faint from fear from what's coming upon the earth, that even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. Paul adds to that, Satan comes with all signs and lying wonders. Back to Jesus. It'll be like the days of Noah. This is why the proper exegesis of what the days of Noah, unless you get that right, when you get up to where Jesus is warning us to be like the days of Noah, you have no idea what he's talking about. Well, people were, doing nasty things. Well, people have done nasty things for thousands of years. No, it's a mixing of the seed war. From a secular viewpoint, Dr. David Jacobs, he's in our Watchers film, by the way. Unbelievable interview I had with him years ago. Secular researcher, has no religious paradigm at all. Okay? Doesn't believe in anything supernatural. All he knows is that there's a breeding program, his words, not mine. There's a breeding program that's taking place. How did he get there? Because he talked to abductee after abductee after abductee. Those well-meaning Christian folks who say that this is not physical are misleading you. Trust me. It is very, very physical. We took out an implant. It's in our film right here. It's in the Watchers film, but we recapitulated it with Emil with the abduction phenomena. Number 4. People are taken, they are implanted. Sperm is taken from the men, ovum is taken from the women. It is not demonic delusion. Angels have physical bodies. They manifest in our dimension. I'm not making this stuff up. When the good angels go into Sodom, right, the townsfolk want to have sex with them. You don't have sex with a phantom. When Abraham sits down with the 3 angels, and one of them is the pre-incarnate Christ, they eat a meal together. Jesus in his resurrected body. He's not a phantom. He can come through the walls, but he's got flesh and blood. Don't ask me how he does that, but he's got an immortal body. Angels are immortal. They have an immortal body. Demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. See where this goes? You don't have the proper exegesis of Genesis 3:15 or Genesis 6. What's a demon? Well, we really don't know what that is. Well, the book of Enoch, which is not part of our canon, I get that. Not part of our canon, but it says very specifically, demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. The Nephilim are the progeny of fallen angels, human women, and when the flood comes and sweeps them all away, only 8 people get on the ark. Were the rest of the human race contaminated in some way? In the book of Revelation, we know that anyone takes the mark of the beast will wind up in the lake of fire. This is conjecture, was there something like a mark in the days of Noah that we're not told about? I can't add to that, but I can think about it. No harm in thinking about it, at least talking about it, not adding to scripture, not taking away. But I'm pondering, why would God destroy the entire, it says they were wicked continually. Why were they wicked continually? What happened to the human race except for 8 people? And it says this in DeHaan's book, Emor DeHaan's book, that Noah was pure in all his generations. What does that mean? No contamination, no Nephilim blood, no Nephilim DNA. And to think for a second that Ham's wife was a Nephilim and got on the ark? No, Not buying that paradigm for a New York Minute. People have tagged onto that and promulgated that, but that's not happening. Noah would no, Ham would no, come on. There's a second incursion. My mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, in his book, The Omega Conspiracy, How the Nephilim Return After the Flood, Second Incursion. In our book, Countermood, How the Nephilim Return After the Flood, Mondo Gonzalez writes a chapter. Fantastic chapter. Thank you, Mondo. Sonda Allison writes a chapter there. There was a second incursion. Just like, why does Daniel tell us that their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not clear to them? Once again, you go back to the Genesis 3:15, Genesis 6 narrative, you don't have the proper exegesis, bye-bye, because when you get to Daniel 2:43, you have no idea what they're talking about. And you'll make up some ridiculous excuse, well, we really don't know, or whatever it is. And then Jesus warns us it'll be like the days of Noah. It all links together. It all goes back to Genesis 3:15. Thank you, Gary Stearman. I'm not interested in debating anybody. Debates are essentially useless. The person's going to, spout what they, and you're going to spout what you believe, and the audience will get more confused than ever. Read my books, watch my films, watch our films. It's all there. I just want to show you this, show you her face one more time. Here we go. Watch her.
Well, I certainly hope they roll out the aliens with that announcement. We appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you, Neil.
It's like, what is she talking about? Right? This is the most game-changing announcement in the history of mankind. And if Trump stands up, I'll close with this. If Trump stands up and says, we are not alone, how does that affect your faith? And I will end, and I really ranted today, and I do apologize, but I'm all alone here in the studio when I don't have a producer going, LA, back off, calm down, take a deep breath, have another sip of coffee. No, don't have any more coffee, LA. The Spirit expressly states that in the latter days, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and the doctrines of demons. So much for once saved, always saved. See ya. Bye-bye with that. Because if some can depart from the faith, they're giving heed to seducing spirits. What's manifesting? The lie. We are not alone in the universe. Trump stands up and announces that, game changer. But the thing is, they still don't manifest, do they? They still don't manifest. I love this. Karen Wilkinson gave me this. See it right there, John Adam? Isn't that cool? They don't manifest until they're good and ready. And in my presentation at the Prophecy Watchers Conference, I'm going to deconstruct the commercial Hello down there. I'm going to deconstruct Days of Disclosure, and I'm going to deconstruct the trailer from Steven Spielberg's movie, Disclosure Day. It's coming. It's happening. The church dithers. Most people are asleep. It's a game changer. How does that change you? How does that affect your faith? Will you believe a lie? 1 Thessalonians, right? Chapter 4. God sends them strong delusion because they did not believe the truth. What's the truth? That Jesus spoke everything into existence. LAMarzulli.com, streaming.lamarzulli.net. You can watch the films. Every film there is under $5, like $4.99 or something. And we actually may have a sale just to lower the price, because if I have a sale, then people will, buy into it and watch. Isn't it funny how you go to Netflix and you get a new release and people just drop $20 like it's nothing? But to ask for $5 for one of our films, LA, you're bagging other people again. I'm sorry. All right, that's it. God bless you all. I'm a little frustrated today. You don't have to write in. I apologize. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Please forgive my ranting. But it is true. The announcement is coming. And you can look at this woman's face before I go and how light she treats the subject, just like it's just, we're having a birthday party for my 8-year-old. No, it's not a birthday party for your 8-year-old. It's a game-changing announcement. And I believe it's coming soon. Thanks for watching. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Death comes for us all. Today, it came for Bob.
This is your life, Mr. Frisbee. You can call me Mr. O. Time does not exist here. We will go through every person you have ever wronged and everyone who has wronged you.
I can't forgive him!
Bob, come down here.
Aunt Mary?
You cannot enter heaven with hatred in your heart.
Take my hand, Bob. We'll go together. Are you escaping, Bob?
Stay back!
Bob Frisbee must face every sin of his past. Will he find forgiveness in his heart or surrender to the darkness? Find out in the brand new novel by L.A. Marzulli, The Waiting Room.